My name is Lauren Mitchell, and most people know me as the woman who built Mitchell and Company from the ground up, a design firm whose clients span from New York brownstones to Malibu beach houses. From the outside, it all looks effortless. This morning, as the Manhattan sunrise pours molten gold across my floor-to-ceiling windows, I smooth the sleeve of my silk blouse and take in the skyline. Down below, taxis hiss through a sheen of rain. Inside, my espresso machine hums a low, comforting purr. It should be a perfect morning, but my phone, face down on the marble counter, won't stop buzzing. The vibration shivers through the stone like a warning. I turn it over. A name flashes across the screen: Chloe, my sister. I haven't spoken to her in 8 years. My breath catches. For a second, the room seems to tilt. Memories I've worked hard to bury rush back. The icy snap in her voice, the sting of my parents' disbelief, the night I left with nothing but a duffel bag and a heart full of hurt. Another buzz. A voicemail icon. I press play. Her voice, older, but still sharp, slides through the speaker. Lauren, we need to talk. It's about what happened. About the necklace. The sound of that word, necklace, is enough to pull me back across the years, back to the night everything I thought I knew about family shattered. 8 years ago, I was 18 and still believed that if you worked hard and loved people enough, they would love you back. Our house in suburban Connecticut always smelled faintly of lemon polish and my mother's lavender lotion. That night, though, the air was heavy, as if it sensed the storm before I did. I came home from my after-school job at the coffee shop, a streak of mocha on my sleeve and a physics quiz still rattling in my head. The living room lights were already on, too bright, too sharp. My sister Chloe, 2 years older and always perfectly put together, stood in the center of the rug with our parents flanking her like silent jurors. In her hand glinted a delicate gold chain, her 21st birthday necklace. Her eyes, ice blue and unblinking, found mine. "Where is it, Lauren?" I frowned, confused. "Where is what?" "My necklace." Her voice cracked like a whip. "It's gone. And you were the only one in my room today." "I wasn't in your room." I dropped my bag, palms damp. "Why would I take it?" She held up the chain, broken clasp dangling. "Don't lie. I found this in your backpack." My stomach dropped. "That's impossible, I never." I reached for the necklace, but she yanked it back. "Enough," Dad said, his voice low and final. "Lauren, tell the truth." "I am telling the truth." My throat tightened, tears burned hot. "I didn't take it." Mom's lips pressed into a thin, colorless line. "We raised you better than this." The words landed like a slap. Chloe crossed her arms, a picture of wounded righteousness. "She's lying." I searched their faces for someone, anyone, to believe me. All I found was doubt. Dad's verdict came like a door slamming. "Pack your things. If you can't respect this family, you can't stay here." "Dad, please." My voice broke. I turned to Mom. She looked away. Something inside me splintered. I stumbled to my room, heart pounding, and stuffed clothes into a duffel while the house echoed with the quiet clink of Chloe's necklace as she set it on the table, a trophy of her victory. On my nightstand lay a faded envelope from Grandma May, the only person who'd ever understood my restless heart. Inside, her looping script whispered, "When the world doubts you, carry your own light. It will lead you home." I clutched the letter like a lifeline as I stepped into the cold night, the door closing behind me with a final, hollow click. The first nights on my own blurred together like the streaks of taillights on the interstate, fast, red, and merciless. I slept on a friend's lumpy couch in a walk-up apartment that smelled faintly of burnt toast and cheap incense. My duffel bag sat at my feet like a silent witness to what I'd lost. Each morning I rose before dawn and pulled on the same black jeans, the fabric stiff with yesterday's coffee spills. I worked double shifts at the corner coffee shop, the hiss of the espresso machine a kind of metronome to my heartbeat. By night, I took community college classes in interior design, clutching Grandma May's letter in my notebook like a talisman. "Carry your own light." Some nights the exhaustion hollowed me out until my reflection in the bus window felt like a stranger's. I doubted myself. Maybe my parents were right. Maybe I was the kind of girl who would be mistaken for a thief. But every time those thoughts crept in, I unfolded Grandma May's letter. The words steadied me like a lighthouse beam. My first break came from Marion Porter, a silver-haired architect who ordered a latte every Tuesday. She noticed the sketches on my break-room table, rough pencil renderings of cafe interiors. One morning, she tapped a ringed finger on the paper. "You have an eye for space. Ever considered an internship?" I almost laughed. An unpaid internship sounded like a luxury. But Marion must have seen something in the set of my jaw, because she added, "We'll make it work. Talent like that shouldn't wait." With her mentorship, I learned to read blueprints, balance color palettes, and present to clients whose shoes cost more than my monthly rent. My first solo project was a downtown bistro, reclaimed wood tables, hanging Edison bulbs, a mural of swirling gold leaves that caught the evening light. When the owner clapped me on the shoulder and said, "You've got a gift, kid," I stepped outside and cried on the curb, tears of relief, not regret. Money came slowly at first. I lived frugally, taking side gigs, painting murals, staging homes for realtors. By 23, I'd saved enough for a tiny studio apartment with brick walls and a single east-facing window that bathed the room in sunrise. I bought secondhand furniture, sanded it smooth, and turned it into pieces people wanted to buy. As my reputation grew, so did my client list. Local magazines featured my work. A boutique hotel commissioned an entire floor design. My parents called occasionally, conversations clipped and careful. I kept my successes vague. "Work's going fine," I'd say, never mentioning the contracts worth more than their annual salaries. By the time I turned 26, Mitchell and Company was no longer a side hustle. It was a brand. A quiet empire. And yet, I stayed off the radar back home. Part of me wanted them to wonder. Another part wasn't ready to face the people who'd believed the worst of me without a second thought. Still, every evening as I locked the studio door, I slipped Grandma May's letter back into my bag. The paper had softened, corners curling from years of travel, but the words remained bright. "Carry your own light." I had, until my light became impossible to ignore. The voicemail from Chloe played again in my mind like a stubborn echo as I pulled open the heavy glass door of Mitchell and Company. 2 days had passed since she'd called, and every hour of silence for me seemed to tighten the knot in my chest. I'd thought about ignoring her, but that same quiet courage Grandma May had once written about nudged me toward something braver. So I called back. Her voice trembled when she answered. "Lauren, can we come by? Mom and Dad too. There are things we need to say. Tomorrow.
Noon.
My office." My tone was even, but my pulse drummed like a warning. The next day, the elevator door slid open to reveal the three of them stepping hesitantly onto the polished concrete floor of my top-level studio. Sunlight poured through the 12-foot windows, spilling across an expanse of white walls hung with framed design spreads and photos of completed projects, boutique hotels, sleek penthouses, restaurants glowing with the warmth I'd once craved at home. They froze, caught in the quiet grandeur. Dad's eyes darted to the wall of awards. Mom's fingers grazed the edge of a marble console, as if testing whether it was real. Chloe, once so quick with judgment, lingered near a walnut display table where a single object rested, a necklace stand holding a delicate, gold chain with a repaired clasp, the very style of the one that had torn us apart. Chloe swallowed. "You kept it?" I stepped closer.
No.
"I bought this one years ago. The one you accused me of stealing? I never even touched it." Her cheeks flushed. "Lauren, Dad shifted uncomfortably. "Your mother and we didn't know what to believe back then." "You believed her," I said, voice calm but steady. "You didn't even check.
You didn't ask me.
You just decided." Mom's eyes brimmed. "We were wrong." Chloe's voice cracked. "I found the real necklace a week later. It had fallen behind my dresser. I didn't know how to tell you. And then it felt too late." For a long moment, The city noise from the street below was the only sound. I crossed my arms, taking in the three faces that once defined family for me. Do you know what it's like, I asked softly, to be cast out by the people you love most, with no chance to defend yourself? Dad lowered his head. I gestured to the studio around us, the reclaimed wood tables, the subtle scent of fresh lilies, the floor-to-ceiling sketches of upcoming projects, is what I built after you told me to leave. Every sleepless night, every fear that I might not make rent, every time I questioned my worth, all of it brought me here. Their eyes swept the room, taking in proof of the life I'd forged. I own this firm, I continued, my voice growing stronger. I employ 20 people. We design for clients across the country. And I did it without your approval, without your support, and without the truth ever coming out until now. Silence settled, heavy and electric. Chloe's tears spilled freely. I am so sorry, Lauren. I can't undo what I did, but I want to make it right. Mom reached for my hand, tentative. Dad cleared his throat, his usual authority gone. For the first time in years, I saw not the accusers who drove me out, but flawed humans facing the weight of their choices. I took a slow breath, the skyline blazing gold beyond the windows. If we're going to heal, I said finally, it starts with honesty. And it starts today. I let the silence stretch until even the distant hum of the city seemed to pause. For years, I had imagined this moment, sometimes with fury, sometimes with a dull ache of longing. Now that it was here, I felt neither rage nor triumph, only a quiet steadiness that surprised me. Dad cleared his throat. Lauren, tell us how we can fix this. I studied him, the once unyielding man whose single sentence, pack your things, had rewritten my life. This isn't about fixing the past, I said gently. It's about deciding whether there's a future for us. Chloe's mascara streaked her cheeks.
I'll do whatever you need me to.
I was jealous of how easily people liked you. I thought if I made you look bad, maybe I'd shine. Instead, I broke everything. Her voice cracked. I need to own that. You already took the first step, I said. But words aren't enough. I need you to show me you're willing to change. Go back to school. Or find something you love that isn't about competing. Build something of your own, and tell me about it when you do. She nodded through tears. I will. I turned to Mom. Her fingers twisted the strap of her handbag. I wanted to believe both of you, she whispered, but I stayed silent. I was afraid of choosing sides. You did choose, I replied softly. By saying nothing, you chose not to protect the truth. If we're to move forward, I need you to stop standing on the sidelines. Speak up when it matters, even when it's uncomfortable. A tear slid down her cheek. I can promise that. Finally, I faced Dad. His jaw tightened, as though bracing for a verdict. You taught me to work hard, I said. But you also taught me that my voice didn't count. If you want a relationship with me now, you have to start by listening, really listening. And when you're wrong, admit it. His shoulders sagged, the armor of certainty slipping away. I can do that, he said, voice low but firm. I want to. I looked at each of them, the people whose absence had once carved a hollow in my chest. These aren't punishments, I said, steady but warm. They're the only way we rebuild trust. Not overnight, not perfectly, but honestly. Chloe sniffled and reached for my hand. Mom followed, and after a beat, Dad's larger hand settled over ours. For the first time in 8 years, our family formed a small, trembling circle. I felt the weight of Grandma May's letter in my bag, the paper worn smooth by time. Carry your own light, it said. I had carried it, until its glow was strong enough not just for me, but for all of us. Weeks passed, and the sharp edges of that meeting softened into something almost tender. Our conversations began cautiously, short phone calls, awkward pauses, but slowly grew into something that felt like rebuilding. Chloe enrolled in evening art classes at the community college. One night, she texted me a photo of a charcoal sketch, bold strokes of a city skyline at dusk. For the first time in years, I feel like this is mine, she wrote. The pride in her words shimmered like a small light against the darkness we'd known. Mom started volunteering at a local shelter and surprised me with her newfound voice. "I spoke up at the board meeting," she said over coffee one Saturday. "It scared me, but it felt right." The quiet strength in her eyes told me she meant it. And Dad, who once believed silence equaled authority, began to show up differently. He called just to listen, not to lecture. When he apologized again, this time without a trace of defensiveness, I believed him. One crisp autumn afternoon, we gathered in my loft for dinner. The air smelled of rosemary and roasted vegetables. The windows blazed with the gold of a sinking sun. Chloe handed me a small gift bag. Inside lay a delicate gold necklace, its clasp gleaming, unbroken. "I made it," she said shyly, "from scratch, to replace what I broke. Not the jewelry, the trust." My breath caught. I fastened it around my neck, the chain cool against my skin. For a moment, the room blurred as Grandma May's words echoed through me. "Carry your own light. It will lead you home." I rose, crossing to the framed letter on my wall, the same letter I'd once clutched while stepping into the cold night. The paper was yellowed, the ink slightly faded, but the message was as luminous as ever. Turning back to my family, I felt something ease inside me. Not the erasure of the past, but the quiet proof that even shattered bonds can be rewoven. I touched the new necklace lightly, a smile warming my voice. "My light led me here," I said. "And now, it can light the way for all of us." The city lights flickered to life beyond the windows, a constellation of second chances. And for the first time in 8 years, I felt truly finally home.